On the morning of June 26, 1996, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second woman appointed to the High Court since its founding, slipped through the red velvet curtain behind the bench and took her seat at the end. 5 places along the majestic curve sat Sandra Day O'Connor, since 1981, the first woman on the Supreme Court, or the Fwatsuk, as she slyly called herself. Each woman justice sported an ornamental white collar on her somber black robe, but otherwise there was no obvious link between the two of them any more than there was any link between any of the other justices. On that day, however, the public got a rare glimpse of the ties that bound the two most powerful women in the land. Speaking from the depths of the high-backed chair that towered over her tiny frame, Justice Ginsburg delivered the decision of the court in United States v. Virginia. From that morning in June 1996, Virginia's state-run Virginia Military Institute, which had trained young men since before the Civil War, would have to take females into its ranks. The Constitution of the United States, which required the equal protection of the laws for all persons, including women, demanded it. Few people listening knew that Ginsburg got to speak for the court that morning because her sister-in-law, Justice O'Connor, had decided that she should. After the justices voted at conference to admit women to VMI, the most senior justice in the majority, or the Chief Justice if he is in the majority, gets to assign the opinion to anyone who agrees with the majority. That's how it works. He assigned it to the senior woman, Sandra Day O'Connor, but she would not take it. She knew who had labored as a Supreme Court lawyer at the Supreme Court for the American Civil Liberties Union from 1971 to 1980 to get the court to call women equal. This should be Ruth's, she said. On decision day, justices do not read their whole opinions, which can often run to scores of pages. That morning, Ginsburg chose to include in her summary reading a reference to Justice O'Connor's 1982 decision in Hogan versus Mississippi. O'Connor's opinion from 15 years before for the closely divided court in Hogan, Ginsburg reminded her listeners, had laid down the rule that states may not close entrance gates based on fixed notions concerning the roles and abilities of males and females, end quote. And then Ginsburg, the legendarily undemonstrative justice, lifted her eyes from her text and paused, and meeting the glance of her sister-in-law from across the bench, she thought of the legacy the two were building together, and she nodded at Sandra Day O'Connor and resumed reading her opinion. It's not me, it's a great story.